With the uncertainty in today's job market, especially within the vegan and plant-based industry, it's nice to have an expert who understands what people are going through. In today's episode, Madeline Mann, who is an HR and recruiting leader who's built an audience of over 500,000 people and is known for her award-winning job search YouTube channel, Self-Made Millennial. Mann's career coaching programs have led thousands to success in their career search, and her work has been featured on ABC, Bloomberg, New York Times, and more. You're in for a great treat as Madeline pulls back the curtain on what you can do to land that perfect position as a vegan. Stick around.
Welcome to the Vegan Visibility Podcast Show, where your host, Kathleen Gage, shines the spotlight on vegan and plant-based businesses and entrepreneurs from all walks of life committed to cruelty-free eating, healthy lifestyles, animal compassion, and the environment. Enjoy the show.
So Madeline, I'm really intrigued. You have an HR background, and 4 years ago you launched your own business, and it is just out there doing some amazing stuff. You have crushed it online, and I'm really curious, how did you get involved in HR, and what led you to go from working for a tech company to starting your own business?
What happened was I was really searching for what am I good at? What can I build mastery in? Because I think everyone says, oh, follow what you love. And I think to a certain extent that's helpful, but really what you want to look for in your career is somewhere where you can play to your strengths, something that appeals to your values. What do you value in a workplace? And then third, what is the market demand? So when I looked at all three of those things, I found that human resources really balance the aspects of human behavior and business acumen. And so I dove full force into that career. I went into the technology industry because it really proved to be an industry that values people, in that the best technology companies look for individuals and don't see individuals as interchangeable, because every person brings such unique creativity and skill sets that you can't just find anywhere. Mm-hmm. And so I knew that that's the type of industry that would really value my expertise of not just focusing on let's get the administrative side of human resources done, but let's build a culture that retains people. Let's make this the highlight of their career. Let's help them to catapult their career to the next level and build a really healthy work environment. And so all of this passion became wrapped up in me as I became the head of HR at a tech company, and everything I was seeing behind the scenes, who is landing the job offers, who is getting promoted, me working with all these executives, I thought, oh my gosh, if only job seekers saw what I see from behind the scenes, they would make much better decisions in their career. And so I started putting out content. I started a channel called Self-Made Millennial on YouTube, and it was just me revealing all of these behind the scenes secrets and just talking about how much I love my job. And it ended up leading to now 500,000 people following me across platforms, and tens of thousands of success stories, and so many people in my coaching programs and all of that having these amazing success stories. And so it ultimately just became completely apparent that I was making my biggest impact in this world by helping people land these career defining jobs, get these massive increases in their salaries, and being able to achieve a really great balance in their life of what makes them happy. And so I then went full-time into my business.
Which it seems like your business is crushing it right now, which, not everybody can say that, because a lot of businesses have been turned upside down due to the pandemic. And I was talking to somebody earlier who said, oh yeah, I want to get out and I want to speak and I want to go to conferences. And I said, you can want it until the cows come home, because it's not happening right now. I'm a keynote speaker, and that part of my business literally fell off the face of the earth when the pandemic started. And so I had to reinvent myself. And I would imagine in the job industry and the job job search, that people need to know how to pivot and how to reinvent themselves. And I want to remind people that you're listening to the Vegan Visibility Show, which means I only have vegans on my show. That is a number one criteria. I'm real clear. That's the line in the sand. And Madeline, you are vegan. And one of the things we talked about is I would love to focus some of our conversation on how do people that are vegan and they're very ethical vegans and they want to land a job with an aligned company. How does that happen? But let's start with what people need to do right now because of the uncertainty of the job market. What's your expertise on that?
I think what you bring up is so many people are facing this idea of whatever you were doing before, it might not be your next career leap might not be in the exact same industry, the exact same realm you were doing before. But one of the things that I work really closely with people on is knowing that you have so many transferable skills. You have so many different zones of genius that can be pivoted. But the issue is that we're so bad at repositioning those skills. You talk a lot about marketing. It really is the marketing of ourselves, of how are we not necessarily doing what I call having autobiography syndrome, where when we talk about our past, we say, well, it all started back in college when I was really into this and that. And then people kind of tell their whole career story versus getting down to repositioning their skills, talking about exactly the only things that are important to the company they're speaking to, and really zeroing in on exactly what that company needs. I say that it's not a Wikipedia page that is your resume, it is a sales page. So it's not about more information, it's about the right information.
So how do people know what the right information is? One would be to hire you as a coach, obviously. And another would be to visit your website. I want you to give that in just a moment to get the 5-day masterclass. You have a free 5-day masterclass. I've checked you out. I was stalking you online and I was like, this woman knows what she's doing. So what's your web address, first of all?
MadelineMann.com.
Okay, real simple. MadelineMann.com. We'll make sure to put that in the show notes. So how does somebody showcase what a company wants right here, right now?
What you do is the first thing people typically do, which is wrong, is when they sit down to write their resume or write their LinkedIn profile, they think about what makes me great? What makes me amazing? And that's not where you should start. Where you should start is, what role do I want next? Okay, great. Now I'm going to go learn about that role. I'm going to read the job descriptions. I'm going to read about these companies. I'm going to look at people who have that job and the skills they possess. And now I am going to position everything I build, my resume, my LinkedIn, my tell me about myself answer in the interview. I'm going to build it all backwards from that information. And what happens when you do that is suddenly your resume shrinks, your pitch shrinks, but it is extremely targeted where you're not clouded by all this information and this autobiography syndrome.
Interesting. So less is more in this particular case. And, in the age of information age, we tend to give more and more and more. So let's say that somebody has figured out what they want to be doing. They know the ideal position. What's your feeling on people finding a company that they say, okay, let's say in the vegan market, let's say they want to work for Beyond Meats and that's the company that they really want to work with. What's the process for them to go through to target the company, put their resume together, their LinkedIn profile? What would you recommend?
I would say that it's really easy for us to say, yes, Beyond Meat, that's where I want to work, or whatever that company is. We always want to take a step deeper of, okay, why, right? There's an alignment there because you live a vegan lifestyle, but let's make sure that your other values, like maybe, that is, ethical company, sustainable company, whatever those things are. But what are your other values? Maybe another one of your values is collaboration. Maybe Beyond Meat, everyone is very siloed and you would just work in a highly specialized role. And so that wouldn't work for you. Or maybe they are high intensity business when you really would love to be able to eat dinner with your family every night and not be, on business calls till 8 p.m. So I always say, let's make sure that we know what we're chasing. Now, if we know what we're chasing, then that's when you can really put the pedal to the metal and start building incredible relationships. So I would say that the worst thing, if I'm Beyond Meat and I'm reading your resume, you submit it to me, and you're someone who has, built this amazing presence in the vegan community, what so many people do is they leave that off the resume. They say, oh, well, I'm going for a marketing manager role. And so I'm going to talk about these last few things, but I want to know that you have this podcast. I want to know that you've done X, Y, and Z, or even simply that you are a vegan. A lot of times people leave those things off. And for a lot of these companies that are mission driven, they run on passion. They run on people who are passionate about these things. And I worked in the blockchain industry a few jobs ago, and I remember almost declining someone's resume because she had a lot of the right qualifications, but they were kind of below what some of the other candidates were having. So I was thinking about deleting her. I ended up interviewing her anyways. And I ended up getting on the call, and she said, yes, I have this whole line of cryptocurrency, stickers that I'm selling as a side hustle. And I said, that's not necessarily what your job experience is, but heck, if that had been top of your resume, I can't train someone to be passionate about something. Like the fact that that comes straight from you, you would have been top of the pile for my interviews. And so I just want to make sure that anyone listening, lead with your passion, lead with the fact that I'm driven by this. I'm not just someone looking for a job. I'm looking for this job.
Wow. Well, that's worth all the time we're spending together right now. That's incredible. And again, I encourage people to check you out on YouTube. It's Self-Made Millennial on YouTube, and also MadelineMann.com, and get the 5-day masterclass. It'll teach you what you need to know to really get moving in the right direction with your career. Now, do you ever contract with companies that, let's say that they have to fill a number of positions? Do you contract with companies on the flip side to advise them on what to look for in the team members that they bring on board?
For many years, I was. And one of my most recent initiatives right before I left my job this year to go full-time into my business was I was training interviewers how to interview. If you go to my YouTube channel, I know you did, you saw that I'm teaching interviewees how to interview. I also teach it on the other end, and it's a mess on both sides.
Absolutely. Well, years ago, I actually suspended operations in my company, and I joined a career development company, and it was horrendous what I learned on both sides of the fence, the job seekers and the people that were hiring. It was like, oh my gosh, somebody's got to teach these people what to do. So it's great to know that that's exactly what you focus on. Now, in the industry of the plant-based vegan markets, where do you see all that going? Because they're pretty rapidly growing markets and industries, but where do you see that moving down the road 5 or 10 years? There's sustainability, there's green companies. Tell us more about that.
I have been seeing it grow so much in the past few years. And I think that it's been really good to see, because not only are people voting with their dollar, so these companies are growing a lot faster, but we're also seeing with the COVID pandemic that people are stopping for a minute and thinking about, where do I actually want to work? What can I do that is actually meaningful to me? And people have had a moment to pause, and we are at a period of time right now where there's a bit of musical chairs going on. The music's playing, everyone's walking around, and they're saying, where am I going to sit down? And the music is about to stop. I think a lot of people are switching jobs right now, and a lot of people will sit. And I think a lot of people will sit at companies like this that are more mission driven, that promote certain lifestyles, that promote certain levels of sustainability. And people are really, especially with every generation that comes on, I think that there's more and more interest.
Absolutely. I know in my generation, because I'm going to be 68 in a few months, which absolutely boggles my mind. And I know a lot of people in my generation, they don't have the level of awareness that millennials and Gen Xers and Zs have, just because of the wealth of information available. And that they are seeing the destructive results of what my generation has done and generations before me. Now, you mentioned about when you put a resume together to put some of your passions at the top. When you're not doing HR training, when you're not coaching, when you're not creating these phenomenal videos for YouTube, what do you like to do?
Oh man, I really love playing guitar. I like playing guitar, I like writing music. I love going around and seeing beautiful architecture. I'm very into kind of Victorian style houses. And I'm also a big board game fan.
What's your favorite board game?
I really like code names.
Code names. I've not heard of that one.
It's one of those perfect games where the rules are simple, but the challenge, it's still cerebral. So it's just the perfect one to pick up.
Excellent. Excellent. Okay. So let's go back to people that are changing careers or they're shifting and pivoting in their career. What are 3 actionable steps that they can take that really will move them closer to landing that position?
Okay, if you're shifting your career right now, I would say the first thing you've got to do is, a lot of people want to sit behind their computer and research. They want to research, they'll research all these companies. No, you've got to start reaching out to folks in the industries you're interested in and do informational interviews. And a lot of people see that as intimidating. I see it as making friends. And that's the way you succeed in it, is you really engage with making friends and really then understanding what it takes to get into that industry, understanding the jargon, understanding the dynamics that you're walking into. And I do have on the front of MadelineMann.com, I do have a free download that has the informational interview questions that you can ask. And the second thing I think is you really need to understand your skill gaps. Hiring a new person onto a team is a massive risk. Companies are looking to mitigate their risk as much as possible. So you need to make sure that it's clear that you have the exact skills that they're looking for. And well, I'll actually correct myself. You don't have to have the exact skills they're looking for, but you need to be making moves to put that at ease that you can absolutely rock the job. So really making sure you're understanding what you're pursuing and filling in those skill gaps. And I think the third thing would be to make sure that you are focusing on building relationships over sending out a massive amount of resumes. I teach a proprietary process that is all about the low volume job search. A lot of people say job search is all about a numbers game. And I disagree with that. Right. I really think a more thoughtful approach, and with your listeners, like, I love the passion that they would have for these certain companies, being more thoughtful and targeting those companies and taking more time to nurture the relationships, to show them your skill set, to build portfolios, to really articulate your skills. That is going to get you so much farther and do it also so much faster in the long term than blasting out your resume to hundreds of places.
Well, let's talk about the low volume job search. Explain in more detail what that means. And since most of us are behind computers, we tend to have a preference over one social media over another one, whether it be TikTok. And I just found TikTok, so I'm like addicted to it. It could be YouTube, it could be LinkedIn. LinkedIn seems to be a really great platform. I know for the vegan industry, oh my gosh, I have connected with some of the most amazing people that are CEOs, CFOs, COOs, all C-level people that I otherwise wouldn't have been able to connect with. So let's talk about the low volume job search. And again, I want to remind people you're listening to the Vegan Visibility Podcast Show. This is Kathleen Gage. I'm talking with Madeline Mann, who is with Self-Made Millennial, and she has a great YouTube channel. I highly recommend you subscribe to that. I recommend you visit her website, Madeline Mann, and get her 5-day masterclass training, where you will learn some very important strategies around really positioning who you are to join the company that you're aligned with. So let's talk about low volume job search and ideal platforms to connect with people.
Yes, I would say that LinkedIn, I have put out a lot of content about LinkedIn, and people are shocked when I tell them the incredible stats of not just my own career, but the stats of my clients, where you can set up your LinkedIn in a way where you are getting job opportunities coming to you regularly. And I know when I was in the HR profession, I was getting maybe 10 inquiries a month from different companies asking me to interview. Now, imagine you are happy at your job and you have multiple job offers already lined up. You will never have to grocery shop when you're hungry again. You'll always feel full when you need to go to this next role. And so really making sure that you're taking that time to build up your LinkedIn profile and your LinkedIn presence in a way that is strategic and brands you properly, and all of those things that I have spent the past few years just studying so closely. And also another thing I hear from job seekers all the time is that they look at someone else's success and they say, well, that person is well connected. They went to the right schools, or they know lots of people. And I wasn't born into that or whatnot. And while, there's always truth in that, LinkedIn has changed the game. Like, you can get in touch with anyone these days, as long as you're getting in touch in a way that is authentic. You've read about them on their profile, you've listened to their podcast episodes, you've really gotten to know them. The barrier to entry to meet people is so at an all-time low at this point. You could just tweet at anyone you want to, or get in contact with a VP at one of the companies you want to work for so easily, or you can figure out exactly who reports to them, meet that person, and then get an introduction to the VP. There's no barriers to entry at this point. And so it doesn't come down to what your position is in life. It's more about, okay, how are you going to approach this person? Right. How are you going to do it in the right way? How are you going to get their attention? And that's the important key component there.
I love that. And, I could spend all day asking you questions, because I know there's a lot of people out there that they're kind of confused on the next right step to take in their career. And so I, again, encourage people to visit your website, MadelineMann.com, get your 5-day masterclass, and subscribe to your YouTube channel, because you've got a wealth of information on there. I was looking at your download numbers. It's like, oh my gosh, this is incredible. Obviously, a lot of people are interested in the topic. So, Madeline, in closing, what are your final thoughts for people as far as the job search, what they can do to prepare themselves for what comes next, and how to go into an experience without a lot of fear leading them, but truly going through faith?
Yes. Well, I think if you feel like you are currently spraying out job applications and just doing your best and sitting in an interview and answering questions, you'll realize that you don't have a strategy right now. And the best moment to change that is just right now. Watch the YouTube channel, come to the free 5-day masterclass, because every time you talk to a new company, it's a chance to reinvent yourself. So while we obviously don't want to burn bridges, we also have these new opportunities. So you really, even if you faced rejection, or if you have had uncertainty in the past, let's make your next company you pursue, let's make that the best possible impression you've ever made. So there's so much you can do. And if you're not approaching your job search strategically, then now's the time to start.
Excellent. Excellent. Well, I am so thrilled that you took time out of your busy schedule to come and share your message with the listeners and the viewers. This is Kathleen Gage with Vegan Visibility, encouraging you. If you're thinking of going through a job change, please do yourself a favor and learn from an expert. Learn from somebody who has made it her life's work to really help you to find the right position, so that you'll feel joyful about showing up to work every day. There's nothing worse than being in a job that you don't like the job, you don't like the team, you don't like the leadership, and you may as well put the effort in now to go after what you truly deserve, want, and need in life, and to fully serve the marketplace. This is Kathleen Gage with the Vegan Visibility Podcast Show, wishing you a great day.
You've been listening to the Vegan Visibility Podcast Show. Be sure to subscribe to get notified when the next episode is live. And we always appreciate reviews. Join us next time for more inspiration, education, and motivation to build your business one cruelty-free and healthy person at a time.